The joke died before it even left Maya's lips, and she watched 3 people in the back row get up and leave mid-punchline. She gripped the microphone tighter, her palms slick with sweat under the harsh spotlight of the Laugh Factory's Tuesday open mic night. This was her 5th time performing in 3 months, and every single time felt like standing naked in front of a firing squad. The brick wall behind her seemed to press closer with each second of uncomfortable silence that stretched through the small comedy club. "Okay, tough crowd," she said, forcing a smile. "Or maybe you're just saving your energy for someone actually funny." A few sympathy chuckles rippled through the audience. Maya pushed her dark hair behind her ear and tried to remember why she kept doing this to herself. Oh, right. Because accounting spreadsheets were slowly killing her soul, and she needed something, anything, that made her feel alive. She launched into her next bit about online dating disasters, and this time managed to get a genuine laugh from a couple near the front. It was enough to carry her through the rest of her 5-minute set without completely bombing. When she finally said, "Thank you," and stepped off the stage, her hands were shaking. "Not bad," said Jeremy, the regular host, as she passed him in the narrow hallway leading to the back room. "You're getting better. Your timing on that dating app bit was solid." "Thanks," Maya said, meaning it. Jeremy had been doing comedy for 10 years, and any compliment from him felt like gold. She grabbed her jacket from the green room, a generous term for what was essentially a converted storage closet, and headed back out to watch the remaining comics. The club was packed tonight, unusual for a Tuesday. Maya found a spot at the bar and ordered a cheap beer, letting the adrenaline slowly drain from her system. Comedy was the strangest addiction. It hurt every single time, but the rush of even one good laugh made her desperate to try again. "You were funny," said a voice beside her. Maya turned to find a guy around her age, maybe late 20s, settling onto the bar stool next to hers. He had dark hair that looked like he had run his hands through it too many times, strong features, and eyes that seemed tired in a way that had nothing to do with sleep. He wore an expensive-looking black sweater and jeans that probably cost more than her rent, but he carried himself with a careful neutrality, like he was trying not to take up too much space. "Thanks," Maya said, genuinely surprised. "Which joke did you like?" "The one about your mom trying to set you up with her dentist's son. The way you described him as having the personality of unflavored oatmeal was perfect." Maya laughed. "That one's true, unfortunately. My mom is relentless." "Mine too," he said, a slight smile tugging at his mouth. "Except she's moved on from setting me up with people. Now she just sends me disappointed text messages about grandchildren she doesn't have. Ouch." "Yeah," he extended his hand. "I'm Nathan." "Maya." His handshake was firm and warm. "First time here, at this club, yes. I've been to a few other open mics around the city." He paused, seeming to choose his words carefully. "I needed to get out of my head tonight. Comedy helps." There was something in the way he said it that made Maya study him more closely. He had the look of someone carrying weight that had nothing to do with physical burden. She recognized it because she had seen it in her own mirror often enough during the worst months after her dad died. "I get that," she said softly. "It's hard to worry about your regular problems when you're terrified about whether a room full of strangers will laugh at your jokes." "Exactly." Nathan's smile reached his eyes this time, transforming his whole face. "How long have you been doing this?" 3 months. 5 sets total. "I'm still catastrophically bad at it." "You're not catastrophically bad. You're figuring it out. There's a difference." They fell into easy conversation, the kind that felt surprising in its comfort. Nathan asked about her day job and made sympathetic noises when she described the particular hell of corporate accounting. She asked what he did, and he hesitated for just a moment before saying, Real estate development. It's not as exciting as it sounds. Does it ever sound exciting? Fair point. The next comic took the stage, a veteran who had the crowd roaring within 30 seconds. Maya and Nathan turned to watch, but she found herself hyper-aware of his presence beside her, the way he laughed at the good jokes, the way his shoulders relaxed as the night went on. When the show ended and people started filtering out, Nathan turned to her with what looked like carefully practiced casualness. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Would you want to get coffee sometime? I mean, if you're not already seeing someone and if that's not weird since we just met." Maya felt a flutter in her stomach that had nothing to do with post-show nerves. "I'd like that. And no, not seeing anyone, unless you count my cat, but he's pretty low maintenance." Nathan pulled out his phone and they exchanged numbers. His fingers flew across the screen with practiced ease, and Maya noticed he had the kind of phone that cost more than her laptop. She filed that away with the expensive clothes, creating a picture of someone who clearly had money, but seemed almost uncomfortable about it. "I'll text you," Nathan said, slipping his phone back into his pocket. "Maybe this weekend." "Sounds perfect." Maya walked home to her apartment in Koreatown feeling lighter than she had in weeks. The night air was cool against her face, and the city hummed with its usual chaos of traffic and voices and music spilling from open doors. She replayed their conversation in her head, analyzing every moment like she analyzed her comedy sets, looking for the good parts to remember and build on. Her phone buzzed before she even made it home. "Nathan. This is Nathan from the comedy club, in case you give your number to multiple guys named Nathan every Tuesday." Maya laughed out loud on the sidewalk, earning a strange look from a passing couple. "Maya, you caught me. I have a whole system. Nathan's on Tuesday, Jake's on Wednesday, Brandon's on Thursday." "Nathan. Sounds exhausting. Lucky for me I met you on the right day." She was still smiling when she walked into her tiny studio apartment. Her orange tabby cat, Douglas, meowed indignantly at her late arrival and she scooped him up, pressing her face into his fur. "I met someone," she told him. "And before you judge, yes, I know I've said that before, but this feels different." Douglas purred, unimpressed by her romantic declarations. Maya fed him and got ready for bed, but found herself too wired to sleep. She pulled out her notebook, the one where she wrote down observations and half-formed joke ideas, and started scribbling about the night. There was something there in the connection between fear and comedy, between the vulnerability of being on stage and the vulnerability of meeting someone new. Her phone buzzed again. "Nathan. I'm glad you were performing tonight. It was nice to laugh." Something about the message felt weighted with meaning, but Maya decided not to overthink it. She typed back, "Same. See you this weekend." The rest of the week crawled by with the particular slowness that only happens when you are looking forward to something. Maya buried herself in spreadsheets and quarterly reports, had lunch with her coworker and best friend Rachel, who insisted on knowing every detail about Nathan, and wrote new material for her next open mic set. "So he's cute, employed, and laughs at your jokes," Rachel said, stabbing her salad with more force than necessary. "What's the catch? Serial killer, married, lives with his mother. Why does there have to be a catch? Because you have terrible luck with men. Remember the guy who collected toenail clippings?" "I try not to remember him, actually." Rachel leaned forward conspiratorially. "Did you Google him?" "No," Maya said, and then amended, "Not yet. Please tell me you are at least going to Google him before you meet up." "I don't even know his last name." "That's information you should get before the first date, not after." Maya rolled her eyes, but Rachel had a point. That evening, she texted Nathan to confirm their Saturday coffee date and casually worked in a question about where he went to college. His response came quickly. "USC, business school." "You?" Maya told him about her state school education and degree in accounting that she had chosen because it seemed practical and safe. They texted back and forth for the next hour, and she learned that Nathan had grown up in Pasadena, had one younger sister who was a lawyer, and was allergic to shellfish. Normal details that painted a picture of a normal person. Except she still could not shake the feeling that there was something he was not saying. It was nothing concrete, just a sense that he was holding part of himself back. But then again, wasn't everyone on their best behavior when getting to know someone new? Saturday arrived with typical Los Angeles sunshine. Maya changed outfits 4 times before settling on jeans and a soft blue sweater that Rachel had once said made her eyes look pretty. She met Nathan at a coffee shop in Silver Lake, the kind of place with mismatched furniture and local art on the walls. He was already there when she arrived, sitting at a corner table with 2 cups in front of him. He stood when he saw her, and Maya was struck again by how handsome he was and how uncomfortable he seemed with the fact that people noticed. "I got you a latte," he said, "but I can get you something else if you don't like it." "Latte's perfect, thank you." They sat down, and the initial awkwardness lasted maybe 30 seconds before they fell back into the easy rhythm they had found at the comedy club. Nathan asked about her week and actually listened to her answers, asking follow-up questions that showed he was paying attention. When she turned the questions back on him, he talked about site visits and contractor meetings, but she noticed he never mentioned company names or specific projects. "Can I ask you something?" Maya said after they had been talking for nearly an hour. "Of course." "You're being kind of vague about your work. Is it boring or secret?" Nathan laughed, but there was something rueful in it. "Neither. I just find that when people know what I do specifically, they act different around me, and I really don't want you to act different. That's cryptic." "I know." "I'm sorry." He ran his hand through his hair, a gesture she was starting to recognize as something he did when he was uncomfortable. "Can we table it for now? I promise I'm not doing anything illegal or immoral." Maya studied him. Every instinct said this was a red flag that she should push for answers, but there was something genuine in his eyes, a plea for her to trust him just a little longer. "Okay," she said finally. "But for the record, if you turn out to be a secret agent or a vampire, I'm going to be really annoyed." "Noted. And I promise I'm neither of those things." They moved on to other topics. Nathan asked about her comedy and seemed genuinely interested in the mechanics of joke writing. Maya found herself explaining her process, how she carried a notebook everywhere and wrote down observations, how she tested material on Rachel before trying it on stage. "It's weird," she said. "During the day, I'm this buttoned-up accountant who color-codes spreadsheets and always follows the rules. But on stage, I get to be this other version of myself who says the inappropriate things I think but never say." "That doesn't sound weird at all," Nathan said. "It sounds like balance." "Is that what you are looking for when you go to comedy shows? Balance?" His expression shifted, becoming more serious. "Something like that. My regular life is very controlled. A lot of expectations, a lot of pressure. Comedy is this space where none of that matters. People are just trying to make other people laugh. It's pure in a way that most things aren't." Maya wanted to ask more, to push past the careful way he was describing his life, but the barista announced they were closing in 10 minutes. She was startled to realize they had been talking for 3 hours. "Can I walk you to your car?" Nathan asked as they gathered their things. "I took the metro, actually." "Then can I drive you home?" They walked to his car and Maya tried not to react when he led her to a sleek black Tesla. Definitely not a struggling real estate developer then. He opened the passenger door for her, a gesture that might have seemed old-fashioned but just felt natural coming from him. The drive to her apartment took 20 minutes through Saturday afternoon traffic. Nathan drove with relaxed confidence, one hand on the wheel, asking her questions about the neighborhoods they passed through. Maya directed him to her building, a 1960s apartment complex that had seen better decades. "This is me," she said as he pulled up to the curb. "Maya," Nathan said, and the way he said her name made her stomach flip. "I had a really good time today, me too. Can I see you again, soon? I'd like that." He smiled, and again she was struck by how much it transformed his face. "Are you performing this Tuesday?" "I am, actually." "Same club, same time slot if I'm lucky." "I'll be there." Maya hesitated, then leaned over and kissed his cheek. He smelled like coffee and something clean and expensive, cologne that probably had a French name she could not pronounce. "Thanks for the coffee. And the ride." She got out before she could overthink it, giving him a small wave before heading into her building. She could feel him watching her, making sure she got inside safely, and something about that made her chest feel warm. Rachel called 10 minutes later, demanding details. Maya recounted the entire date while feeding Douglas his dinner. "Okay, so he's perfect except for the mysterious job thing," Rachel summarized. "Did you Google him yet? Still don't have a last name." "Maya, how do you spend 3 hours with someone and not get their last name?" "It never came up naturally." Rachel sighed dramatically. "You are hopeless." "Okay, what do we know?" Nathan, late 20s, real estate development, went to USC Business School, drives a Tesla, grew up in Pasadena. "And he's coming to my set on Tuesday." "Oh, that's serious." "He's willing to voluntarily watch you do comedy again. That's basically a declaration of love in guy language." Maya laughed, but nervousness fluttered in her stomach. Having Nathan in the audience would make everything feel different, more exposing somehow. She spent Sunday working on her set, trying to polish her best 5 minutes into something that would not embarrass her. Tuesday evening arrived too quickly. Maya got to the club early, running through her material in her head while trying not to throw up from nerves. She scanned the growing crowd for Nathan but did not see him. Maybe he had changed his mind. Maybe Saturday had been nice but not nice enough to sit through another open mic night. Then she spotted him, walking in 5 minutes before the show started. He caught her eye immediately and smiled, holding up his hand in a small wave. Maya felt the nerves transform into something else, something electric and terrifying and wonderful. She was third in the lineup. The first 2 comics did well, warming up the crowd. Then Jeremy called her name, and she walked on stage with her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. The spotlight was blinding as always, but she found Nathan in the audience, sitting near the back with his full attention on her. She took a breath and started her set. This time was different. The jokes landed. The timing worked. She felt the rhythm of it, the way a good set flows like music, and when she got to her closer, a bit about her mother's escalating attempts at matchmaking, the room erupted in laughter. Real, genuine laughter that washed over her like a wave. She looked at Nathan and saw him laughing too, his head thrown back, his whole body shaking with it. It was not the polite chuckle from the coffee shop or the measured responses from their first meeting. This was unguarded, joyful, free. When she walked off stage, Jeremy gave her a high five. "Now that's what I'm talking about. You killed it." Maya barely heard him. She was riding the high of a good set, the feeling that every comic chases and so rarely catches. She made her way to the back of the club where Nathan was waiting. "You were amazing," he said, and his eyes were bright with something she could not quite name. "Really, truly amazing. Thank you." She was breathless from the adrenaline or his proximity or both. "Did I actually make you laugh? You made me forget everything else," he said quietly. Do you know how rare that is? The weight in his words stopped her. Before she could respond, Jeremy appeared at her elbow. Maya, great set. Hey, some of us are grabbing late food at the diner down the street. You should come, bring your friend. Maya looked at Nathan questioningly. He nodded. I'd like that. They ended up squeezed into a booth with Jeremy, two other comics named Ashley and Marcus, and a regular audience member who fancied himself an amateur comedy critic. The conversation was loud and chaotic, everyone talking over each other, dissecting sets and arguing about what made jokes work. Nathan mostly listened, but Maya caught him watching her, a small smile playing at his lips whenever she jumped into the debate. Under the table, his knee pressed against hers and she did not move away. So Nathan, Marcus said, pointing a French fry at him, what's your story? You don't look like the usual open mic crowd. I'm just a fan, Nathan said easily. Maya's been trying to explain the comedy process to me. It's fascinating. And you are a glutton for punishment sitting through 2 open mics, Ashley added. That's true love right there. Maya felt her face heat, but Nathan just laughed. Maya's worth it. The group eventually dispersed around midnight. Nathan walked Maya to her car this time, a beat-up Honda Civic that looked even sadder next to his Tesla. So, he said, leaning against her car door, how do you feel? Incredible. Terrified. Like I want to do it again immediately and also never again. That sounds about right. He reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, his fingers lingering against her cheek. Can I take you to dinner? A real dinner, not just coffee or post-comedy diner food. When? Tomorrow, Maya laughed. Someone's eager. I am, Nathan said seriously. I really am. Tomorrow works. He kissed her then, soft and questioning, giving her time to pull away. Maya did not pull away. She kissed him back, pressing closer, feeling the solid warmth of him against her. When they finally broke apart, they were both breathing harder. I should go, Maya said, not moving. You should, Nathan agreed, also not moving. She kissed him again, quick and sweet, then forced herself to get in her car. Nathan stepped back, hands in his pockets, watching as she pulled away. In her rearview mirror, she saw him standing there until she turned the corner. Maya drove home in a daze, her lips still tingling, her mind replaying every moment. This was happening. Whatever this was, it was really happening, and it felt bigger and scarier and more real than anything she had felt in a long time. Nathan picked her up Wednesday evening in dark slacks and a button-down shirt that made him look unfairly handsome. He took her to a restaurant in Santa Monica, the kind of place with cloth napkins and a wine list that Maya could not begin to decipher. Is this okay? Nathan asked, suddenly looking uncertain. We can go somewhere else if this is too much. It's perfect, Maya said, even though she was mentally calculating how many open mic nights she would have to skip to afford her half of the bill. I just need you to order wine because I have no idea what any of these words mean. Nathan relaxed and ordered them a bottle of something French. The waiter poured with ceremonial care, and Maya took a sip that tasted like it cost more than her phone bill. So, she said once they had ordered, I've been patient, but I need you to tell me what's going on with the mysterious job situation. Nathan set down his wine glass and met her eyes. You're right. You deserve to know. He took a breath. My last name is Chen. My family owns Chen Development Group. We build commercial properties, mostly on the West Coast, and I run the company. Maya blinked. Chen Development Group was not just some small operation. Their name was on half the new buildings in downtown Los Angeles. She had walked past their construction sites 100 times. So when you said real estate development, she started, I was technically telling the truth, just not the full truth. Nathan looked miserable. This is why I did not want to say anything. You are looking at me differently already. I'm processing, Maya said. Give me a second. Her mind was racing. Nathan was not just successful, he was seriously wealthy. The Tesla, the expensive clothes, this restaurant, it all made sense now, and he had hidden it from her, or at least deliberately downplayed it. "Why didn't you just tell me?" she asked. "Because the last 3 women I dated were more interested in my bank account than in me," Nathan said bluntly. "And when I met you, you didn't know who I was. You just saw me as some guy at a comedy club. Do you know how rare that is?" How incredible it felt to just be Nathan, not Nathan Chen of Chen Development Group. Maya could hear the pain behind his words. "That sounds lonely." "It is." He reached across the table and took her hand. "I like you, Maya, really like you, and I wanted you to like me for the right reasons." "For the record," Maya said, lacing her fingers through his, "I liked you before I knew about the money. I liked how you laughed at my jokes and how you actually listen when I talk and how you seem to really see me, not just the version I show the world. So you being rich doesn't change that. But I need you to trust me with the truth, okay? All of it, not just the edited version." Nathan's expression transformed with relief. "Okay, I can do that." The rest of dinner was easier. Nathan told her about taking over the company at 26, when his father had a heart attack and could not continue. He talked about the pressure of managing hundreds of employees and million-dollar projects, about family expectations and the isolation of being young and in charge. Maya shared her own story, about her father's death 3 years ago, about choosing accounting because it felt safe and predictable, about discovering comedy as an outlet for everything she could not express in her regular life. "I'm scared all the time," she admitted. "Scared I'm not funny enough, not brave enough, not enough, period. But when I'm on stage and a joke works, for those few seconds I feel like maybe I am enough exactly as I am." "You are," Nathan said with such conviction that Maya felt tears prick her eyes. "You absolutely are." They stayed at the restaurant until the staff started giving them pointed looks. Nathan drove her home through the glittering sprawl of Los Angeles, and they talked about everything and nothing, building the foundation of something that felt important and fragile and worth protecting. At her apartment building, Nathan walked her to her door. Maya unlocked it, then turned to face him. "Do you want to come in?" she asked. "I do," Nathan said, "but I'm going to say no." "Oh," Maya tried not to feel rejected. "Not because I don't want to," Nathan added quickly, "but because I want to do this right. I don't want to rush something that feels this important." Maya felt warmth spread through her chest. "You're kind of incredible, you know that." "I'm really not. I just know a good thing when I find it, and I don't want to mess this up." She kissed him goodnight, and this time it was slower, deeper, full of promise. When she finally pulled away and went inside, she leaned against her door and smiled at nothing. The next few weeks unfolded like a dream. Nathan came to every single one of her open mic sets, sitting in the back and laughing at her jokes like they were the funniest things he had ever heard. They had dinner 3 times a week, went to a museum on Sunday, watched old movies at her apartment with Douglas purring between them. Maya met Nathan's sister Helen over lunch, a sharp lawyer who interrogated her like a witness before apparently deciding she passed muster. Nathan met Rachel at a comedy show, and Rachel texted Maya afterward. "Okay, I take back everything bad I said. Marry him immediately." Maya was falling, fast and hard, and for the first time in her life she was not scared of the landing. Nathan made her feel safe and seen and valued. He encouraged her comedy, helped her workshop jokes, and never made her feel like her ambitions were silly or small. A month into their relationship, Nathan invited her to a company event. "It's a fundraiser for a children's hospital," he explained. "Black tie, kind of boring, but it would mean a lot if you were there." Maya agreed, then panicked because she did not own anything even remotely suitable for a black tie event. Rachel took her shopping, and they found a midnight blue dress that was elegant without being too formal, within Maya's budget if she ate ramen for the next 2 weeks. The night of the fundraiser, Nathan picked her up looking devastating in a tuxedo. His eyes widened when he saw her. "You look stunning," he said. "You clean up pretty well yourself." The event was at a downtown hotel, the kind of place with marble floors and crystal chandeliers. Maya felt out of her depth immediately, surrounded by people in designer clothes making small talk about stock portfolios and vacation homes in Aspen. Nathan kept her close, his hand warm on the small of her back, introducing her to people as Maya, my girlfriend, with unmistakable pride in his voice. The girlfriend label was new, and every time he said it, Maya felt a little thrill. They were talking to a city councilman when a woman approached, tall and beautiful in a red dress that probably cost more than Maya's car. "Nathan," she said, her voice honey-sweet, "I've been looking for you all night." "Victoria," Nathan said, his body tensing slightly. "How are you?" "Better now." Victoria's eyes slid to Maya with calculated dismissal. "And who's this?" "This is Maya, my girlfriend." "Maya, this is Victoria Huang. We went to business school together." "How nice," Victoria said in a tone that suggested it was anything but. "Nathan, we really should talk about the Westwood project. I know my father's firm is very interested in partnering." "This isn't the time or place," Nathan said coolly. "Of course." Victoria smiled, sharp as glass. "Enjoy your evening, Maya. I'm sure you will find it all very educational." She glided away, leaving tension in her wake. Maya looked at Nathan questioningly. "Ex-girlfriend," she guessed. "Brief and a mistake," Nathan confirmed. "She was more interested in merging companies than actually dating. I ended it 6 months ago. She's not happy about it. I can tell." The rest of the evening was pleasant enough, though Maya could feel Victoria's eyes on them periodically. During dinner, Nathan gave a speech about the importance of the hospital's work, and Maya saw the businessman side of him, confident and commanding. It was attractive in a different way than the vulnerable man who laughed at comedy clubs. When they finally escaped back to Nathan's car, Maya kicked off her heels with a groan. "How do people do that all the time?" "Practice and a high tolerance for boring conversation," Nathan said. He loosened his bow tie and turned to her. "Thank you for coming. I know that was not your scene." "It was fine. Your ex-girlfriend hates me, but otherwise it was lovely." "Victoria doesn't hate you. She's just used to getting what she wants, and she didn't want me to move on." "Did you love her?" Maya asked, surprising herself with the question. Nathan was quiet for a moment. "No, I thought maybe I could, but it never felt real. She wanted the idea of me, not the actual person." He reached over and took Maya's hand. "With you, it's different. You met me when I was just another guy at a comedy club. You make me laugh. You challenge me. You see me, really see me. That's not something I'm willing to give up." Maya's throat felt tight. "I'm falling in love with you," she said, the words tumbling out before she could stop them. "And that's terrifying because I've never felt this way before, and I don't know what to do with it." Nathan pulled her closer, cradling her face in his hands. "I'm falling in love with you too. Have been since that first night when you made a joke about your mother and I laughed for the first time in months. Really laughed, not just going through the motions." He kissed her then, and Maya felt like she was dissolving into light. When they finally broke apart, they were both breathless. "Come home with me," Nathan said. "Not for anything, just to be together. I have a guest room if you want space. I just don't want to say goodnight yet." "Okay," Maya whispered. Nathan's house was in the hills, a modern masterpiece of glass and wood with a view of the city that made Maya gasp. He gave her a tour, and she tried not to be intimidated by the sheer size and luxury of it all. "It's too big," Nathan admitted. "I bought it because I thought I should, but it never really feels like home. It's just a place I sleep." They ended up on his couch, Maya curled against his side, talking until 3 in the morning. She did sleep in the guest room, but only after another hour of kissing that left them both wound up and wanting more. The next morning, Nathan made her breakfast, fancy coffee from a machine that looked like it belonged in a spaceship. Maya wore one of his t-shirts and watched him move around the kitchen, comfortable and domestic, and felt her heart expand to accommodate all the feelings crowding her chest. "I have to tell you something," Nathan said as they ate eggs and toast on his balcony overlooking the city. "There's a project in San Francisco that needs my attention. I have to go up there for a week, maybe 2. I leave on Monday." "Oh." Maya tried not to feel disappointed. "Come with me," Nathan said immediately. "Take some time off work. We can explore the city, eat amazing food, and I promise the work stuff will only take a few hours each day." "Nathan, I can't just take off work for 2 weeks." "Why not? When's the last time you took a real vacation?" Maya thought about it. 3 years ago, right after my dad died, I took a week and barely left my apartment. "That doesn't count. Come with me, please. I'll cover everything, and before you protest, it's not about the money. It's about wanting to share this with you." Maya knew she should say no. It was too much, too soon, too everything. But the thought of 2 weeks without seeing Nathan felt impossibly bleak. "Let me talk to my boss," she said finally. "No promises." Her boss, a perpetually stressed woman named Margaret, surprised her by approving the time off immediately. "You haven't taken a vacation in 3 years and you have weeks of PTO saved up. Go. We'll survive without you." Maya texted Nathan the good news, and his response was a string of excited emojis followed by, "I'm going to make this the best 2 weeks of your life." They flew first class to San Francisco the following Monday, and Maya tried to act like she had not been upgraded from economy, and that drinking champagne at 10 in the morning on a plane was totally normal for her. Nathan held her hand during takeoff, and Maya realized with a start that she had never seen him truly, uncomplicatedly happy until this moment. San Francisco was beautiful and foggy and full of hills that made Maya's calves burn. Nathan's meetings took him away for a few hours each day, and Maya explored the city on her own, taking notes for comedy material, texting Nathan photos of interesting things she found. In the evenings, they ate incredible food and walked through neighborhoods that felt like different worlds. Nathan took her to his favorite bookstore in the Mission, a cluttered space that smelled like old paper and coffee. They browsed in comfortable silence, and Maya looked up to find him watching her with such open affection that she had to kiss him right there between the poetry and fiction sections. "I love you," Nathan said against her lips, and it was not a declaration or a question, just a simple statement of fact. "I love you too," Maya said back, and felt the truth of it settle into her bones. That night they made love for the first time in their hotel room overlooking the bay. It was tender and awkward and perfect, both of them learning each other's bodies, laughing at fumbles and gasping at discoveries. Afterward, Maya lay with her head on Nathan's chest, listening to his heartbeat, and felt more at peace than she had in years. "Tell me something you've never told anyone," Nathan said, his fingers tracing patterns on her bare shoulder. Maya thought about it. "I'm scared I'm wasting my life, that I'll be 60 years old, still doing accounting, having never taken a real chance on comedy or anything else that matters." "That's not going to happen." "How do you know?" "Because you are the bravest person I know," Nathan said. "You get on stage and make yourself vulnerable every single week. That takes more courage than anything I do. You run a company. That's different. Business is strategy and numbers. What you do is raw and personal and terrifying, and you do it anyway." Maya propped herself up to look at him. Your turn. Tell me something you've never told anyone. Nathan was quiet for a long moment. Sometimes I resent my father for getting sick, for dumping the company on me before I was ready. I know that makes me a terrible person. It makes you human. I loved him, love him, but I also mourn the life I didn't get to have, the chance to figure out what I wanted before being told what I had to do. Maya kissed him softly. You're not a terrible person. You're someone carrying weight that you didn't ask for and doing it anyway. That makes you pretty incredible, actually. They fell asleep, tangled together, and Maya dreamed of stages and laughter and a future that felt possible. The rest of the trip passed in a blur of happiness. They took a day trip to Napa, drank too much wine at a small vineyard, and laughed until their stomachs hurt. Nathan's meetings wrapped up ahead of schedule, giving them an extra 2 days to explore. On their last night, Nathan took her to an expensive restaurant overlooking the Golden Gate Bridge. Over dessert, he reached across the table and took her hand. "I've been thinking," he said, "and I want you to hear me out before you respond." Maya's stomach flipped. "Okay. When we get back to LA, I want you to quit your job." "What? Hear me out," Nathan said quickly. "You hate accounting. You love comedy, and you're good at it, Maya, really good. But you can't get better, can't take the chances you need to take when you're working 50 hours a week at a job that drains you." "Nathan, I can't just quit. I have rent and bills and loans. Move in with me. Let me support you while you give comedy a real shot. Not forever, just for a year. See what happens when you can focus on it completely." Maya pulled her hand back. "I can't let you do that." "Why not?" "Because it's too much. Because we've only been together for 2 months. Because I don't want to be the woman who lets her rich boyfriend pay for everything." Nathan's jaw tightened. "Is that really what you think this is? Me trying to buy you or control you?" "No, but I need my independence. I need to know I can take care of myself." "You can take care of yourself. You've been doing it for years. I'm offering you a chance to pursue something you love, not trying to make you dependent on me." They stared at each other across the table, the first real tension crackling between them. Maya felt tears burning her eyes. "I need to think about it," she said finally. The flight home was quieter. Not angry, but weighted with things unsaid. Nathan dropped her at her apartment and kissed her goodnight, but something felt different, careful. Maya spent the next few days in turmoil. Rachel told her she was crazy not to take Nathan up on his offer. Her mother, when she finally broke down and called her, was more cautious. "Is he a good man?" her mother asked. "Yes." "Does he respect you?" "Yes." "Then trust your gut, but make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, not because you're scared." Maya realized her mother was right. She was scared. Scared of depending on someone else, scared of failing at comedy if she actually gave it a real try, scared of what it meant that Nathan loved her enough to make such an offer. She called him that night. "Can you come over?" Nathan arrived 20 minutes later, looking worried. Maya let him in and they sat on her worn couch, Douglas immediately claiming Nathan's lap. "I'm sorry," Maya said. "I overreacted." "No, you didn't. I sprung something huge on you without really considering how it would make you feel." "I'm scared," Maya admitted. "Of depending on you, of what happens if I try comedy full-time and fail, of everything this means." Nathan took her hand. "I'm scared too, but I believe in you, Maya, and I want to be with someone who's living their real life, not a half-life they settled for. If you want to keep working while you pursue comedy, I support that. If you want to take my offer, I support that. I just want you to be happy." Maya felt the last of her resistance crumble. "Can we compromise? I'll give notice at work, but I want to pay my own rent. I'll move some of my expenses, buy cheaper coffee, whatever it takes. I need to know I'm doing this for me, not just because you're making it easy." "Deal," Nathan said immediately. But I'm buying groceries when you're at my place because you eat like a broke college student and it concerns me. Maya laughed, and just like that the tension dissolved. She kissed him, and it turned into more, right there on her couch with Douglas meowing indignantly as he was displaced. Maya gave her 2 weeks' notice the next day. Margaret was not surprised. I've seen you doodling jokes in the margins of budget reports for months now. Go chase the dream. If it doesn't work out, accounting will still be here. The next month was terrifying and exhilarating. Maya started hitting multiple open mics a week, sometimes 3 or 4 in a single night. She took a stand-up class taught by a working comic, networked with other performers, and slowly started getting better spots at shows. Nathan was her biggest supporter, showing up whenever his schedule allowed, helping her set up a camera to record her sets so she could review them, never complaining when she was tired or stressed or convinced she had made a huge mistake. 3 months after quitting her job, Maya got her first paid spot at a real comedy club. It was only $50 and a drink ticket, but she felt like she had won the lottery. She called Nathan immediately. "I'm taking you to dinner," she announced. "My treat. It might have to be an in-out because $50 doesn't go far, but I'm buying." Nathan's laugh warmed her from the inside out. "I would be honored to let you buy me a burger." They celebrated at an in-out, and Nathan made a show of ordering the most expensive thing on the menu, which was still under $10. Maya had never felt richer. 6 months in, Maya had a regular spot at 2 clubs and was starting to build a following. Comedy was still hard, still terrifying, but it was her hard, terrifying thing. She was building something that was hers, and Nathan's support never felt like pressure, just belief. They had fallen into an easy rhythm. Maya spent most nights at Nathan's house, but kept her apartment as a workspace and retreat when she needed to write. They had keys to each other's places, inside jokes, and a future that stretched out before them full of possibility. Helen, Nathan's sister, became a real friend. She came to Maya's shows and laughed in all the right places, gave brutally honest feedback when Maya asked for it, and once threatened to destroy a heckler who had made a sexist comment during Maya's set. Maya's mother finally met Nathan over Sunday dinner, and Maya watched anxiously as her mother interrogated him about his intentions and his family and his thoughts on children. Nathan handled it with grace, even when Maya's mother asked him point-blank if he was serious about her daughter. "Yes, ma'am," Nathan said without hesitation, "very serious." After dinner, Maya's mother pulled her aside. "He's a good man. Your father would have liked him." Maya felt tears sting her eyes. Her father had been gone for years, but she still missed him constantly. "Yeah, I think he would have." A year into their relationship, Maya got offered a spot on a showcase at the Comedy Store, one of the most famous clubs in the country. It was a 10-minute set, and if it went well, it could open real doors. She called Nathan, barely able to speak through her excitement. "That's incredible." Nathan said, "When?" 3 weeks from Friday. I'm putting it on my calendar right now. Front row, center seat. You don't have to sit in the front row. That's actually worse for me. I'll be able to see your face too clearly. Back row then. But I'm bringing flowers and I'm telling everyone there that you're my girlfriend." Maya laughed. "Deal." The 3 weeks passed in a blur of writing and rewriting, practicing in front of Rachel and Helen, recording herself and critiquing every word and pause. Nathan was patient with her stress, bringing her food when she forgot to eat, rubbing her shoulders when she was hunched over her notebook at 2 in the morning. The night of the showcase, Maya was so nervous she threw up twice before leaving Nathan's house. He held her hair and rubbed her back and told her she was going to be amazing. "What if I'm not?" Maya whispered. "What if this was all a mistake?" "Then we figure out the next step together," Nathan said. "But you're not going to bomb. You're going to get up there and do what you've been working toward for a year and a half. And I'm going to be there watching and feeling proud and probably falling in love with you all over again." Maya kissed him, tasting toothpaste and fear and love all mixed together. The club was packed when they arrived. Nathan squeezed her hand before she had to go backstage, and Maya tried to memorize the feeling of his fingers laced through hers, steady and sure. She was fourth in the lineup. The comics before her all killed, which was intimidating and also good because the crowd was warmed up and ready to laugh. When her name was called, Maya walked onto that stage feeling like she was walking to her execution and her coronation all at once. The lights were bright. The crowd was silent, waiting. Maya took a breath and started talking. Her first joke landed hard, big laughs that rolled through the room. The second one built on it, and suddenly she was in the zone, that magical place where everything clicks and the words flow and the audience is right there with her. She could feel Nathan somewhere in the darkness, could imagine his face lit up with that unguarded laugh she loved so much. She got to her closer, a personal story about her father's death and her mother's terrible attempts at grief counseling that somehow managed to be both heartbreaking and hilarious. The room went quiet at the emotional turn, then erupted when she hit the final joke. It was the best set of her life. When she walked off stage, her hands were shaking. Jeremy, who was hosting, hugged her. "You're ready," he said. "You're really ready." Maya barely heard him. She pushed through the backstage area and found Nathan waiting for her just outside. He was holding an enormous bouquet of sunflowers, her favorite, and his eyes were shining. "You were perfect," he said. "Absolutely perfect." Maya launched herself at him and he caught her, spinning her around while she laughed and cried at the same time. When he set her down, she kissed him hard, pouring a year and a half of love and fear and triumph into it. "Marry me," Nathan said against her lips. Maya pulled back, certain she had misheard. "What?" Nathan set down the flowers and took both her hands. "Marry me." "I know this is terrible timing and I don't have a ring and you're still riding high from your set, but I've been carrying the question around for weeks and I can't wait anymore. I love you. I love your courage and your humor and the way you see the world. I love that you make me laugh and that you challenge me and that you choose to be with me every single day even though my life is complicated and messy. I want to spend the rest of my life supporting your dreams and building new ones together. So yes, terrible timing, but Maya, will you marry me?" Maya was crying again, but this time it was pure joy. "Yes," she said. "Yes, absolutely yes." Nathan kissed her again, and somewhere in the background Maya heard Jeremy yelling she said yes, and the sound of applause from people spilling out of the club who had witnessed the proposal. They got married 6 months later in a small ceremony at Nathan's house in the hills. Maya wore a simple white dress and sunflowers in her hair. Nathan cried when he saw her walking toward him, and Maya cried when he read his vows, which included a promise to always laugh at her jokes, even the bad ones. Rachel was her maid of honor and Helen stood up on Nathan's side. Maya's mother sobbed through the entire ceremony, and afterward told Maya that her father would have been so proud. Nathan's parents, who Maya had grown to love, welcomed her into the family with open arms and not-so-subtle hints about grandchildren. The reception was held under string lights on Nathan's balcony, with a carefully curated guest list of close friends and family. Maya gave a speech that was equal parts funny and heartfelt, and Nathan laughed until he cried, which was exactly what she had been going for. That night, alone in their bedroom, Nathan pulled out a small box. "I know I already gave you a ring," he said, gesturing to the diamond on her finger that he had properly proposed with a month after the club proposal. "But I wanted to give you something else." Maya opened the box to find a necklace with a small gold microphone pendant. "I had it made," Nathan explained. "So you always remember that night, the night you killed on stage and I proposed and everything changed." Maya put it on and looked at herself in the mirror. She was 29 years old, married to the love of her life, pursuing a career in comedy that was slowly but steadily building. Her reflection showed a woman who looked genuinely happy, something she had not seen in her own face for a very long time. 2 years later, Maya got her first television spot on a late-night show. She performed for 4 minutes, the shortest and most terrifying 4 minutes of her life, but when it was over, the host came over to shake her hand and tell her she was funny. The clip went viral online, and suddenly, Maya had thousands of new followers and offers for more shows. Nathan watched from the green room, and when she came off stage, he was waiting with champagne and that proud smile she loved so much. "You did it," he said. "You really did it." 3 months after that, Maya found out she was pregnant. She told Nathan by working it into her comedy set one night, making a joke about how her birth control had apparently failed, and she was terrified but also excited to be a mother. "And oh, by the way, Nathan, surprise, you're going to be a dad." Nathan stood up from his seat in the back of the club, face cycling through shock and joy and disbelief. The whole audience erupted in applause, and Nathan ran up to the stage and kissed her right there under the spotlight. Their daughter Lily was born 9 months later, a tiny perfect thing with Nathan's eyes and Maya's stubborn chin. Maya took 6 months off from performing, but found that new material flowed from motherhood in unexpected ways. When she returned to the stage, her jokes had new depth, new perspective. Nathan was a devoted father, adjusting his work schedule so he could be home for bedtime, learning to change diapers with the same focused intensity he brought to business deals. Maya watched him read picture books in silly voices and felt her love for him deepen in ways she had not known were possible. When Lily was 2, Maya got offered a special on Netflix, an hour-long showcase of her comedy. It was the opportunity she had been working toward, and also the most terrifying thing she had ever done. She spent months writing and rewriting, testing material, polishing every word. Nathan helped her practice, played her ideal audience, and never complained when she had panic attacks at 3 in the morning about whether the special would be good enough. Helen babysat Lily during the taping, and Maya's mother flew out from Arizona to be in the audience. The night of the taping, Maya stood backstage and looked out at the packed theater. She could see Nathan in the 3rd row, holding Lily, who was wearing headphones and looking confused about why everyone was sitting in the dark. Maya thought about that first open mic night, how terrified she had been, how small her dreams had felt. Then she thought about Nathan laughing for the first time in months, about falling in love, about the life they had built together. She thought about her father, gone but not forgotten, and hoped he could somehow see this moment. She walked onto that stage feeling ready. The jokes landed, the stories flowed, and for one perfect hour Maya felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be, doing exactly what she was meant to do. When it was over and the applause washed over her, Maya looked at Nathan. Even across the distance of the theater, she could see him crying, could see him smiling, could feel his pride and love radiating toward her like light. After the taping, after the congratulations and the photos and the celebration, they went home. Lily fell asleep in the car, exhausted from her big night out. Nathan carried her inside and tucked her into bed while Maya watched from the doorway, still wearing her stage makeup and the microphone necklace she never took off. In their bedroom, Nathan pulled Maya close. "I'm so proud of you," he said. "Do you know that? I do. You tell me approximately 40 times a day." "I'll tell you 41 times tomorrow then." He kissed her forehead. Remember when you asked me what I was looking for at those open mic nights? Balance. You said balance. You were wrong. I was looking for you, I just didn't know it yet. Maya tilted her face up to kiss him. Best open mic night of my life. Mine too. They fell asleep tangled together, the way they always did, and Maya dreamed of stages and spotlights and the sound of laughter that had changed her life. In the darkness, she could feel Nathan's heartbeat steady against her back, feel the weight of their daughter sleeping down the hall, feel the shape of the life they had built. She had stepped on stage that first night hoping to make someone laugh. She had never imagined she would make someone laugh who had forgotten how, would fall in love, would build a career and a family and a future so much bigger and brighter than anything she had let herself dream. But here she was, living it. A comedian and a wife and a mother. A woman who had learned that the scariest things, the risks that made your hands shake and your heart pound, were always the ones most worth taking. Years passed, and their life continued to unfold in unexpected and beautiful ways. Lily grew into a funny, curious child who loved making people laugh, just like her mother. Nathan expanded the company while learning to delegate more, finding better balance between work and family. Maya continued performing, her career steady if not spectacular, and discovered she preferred it that way. The pressure of fame had never appealed to her as much as the pure joy of making people laugh. They had a son, Max, when Lily was 4. He was quieter than his sister, more serious, but had Nathan's gentle kindness. Maya learned how to balance motherhood and comedy, finding material in the chaos of raising 2 kids, making other parents laugh in recognition at her stories of grocery store meltdowns and elaborate bedtime negotiations. On their 10th anniversary, Nathan took Maya back to that first comedy club, the one where they had met. It looked exactly the same, down to the peeling paint and suspicious stains on the floor. They sat at the bar where they had first talked, ordered cheap beers, and watched that night's open mic performers. You ever miss it? Nathan asked. The hungry years when everything was still ahead of you, Maya thought about it. Sometimes, but I like now better. I like knowing what we built, what we have. The wondering was exciting, but this is better. Yeah, Nathan agreed. This is better. They watched a young woman take the stage, nervous and hopeful, telling jokes that were rough but showed promise. Maya remembered being her, remembered the terror and the thrill and the desperate need to make people laugh. The woman got through her set and walked off stage looking shell-shocked. Maya caught her eye and gave her a thumbs up. The woman smiled, grateful for the encouragement from a stranger. You should tell her, Nathan said. Tell her what? That she's good, that she should keep going, that it's worth it. Maya found the young woman in the back of the club and introduced herself. The woman's eyes went wide with recognition. Maya's Netflix special had done well enough that people in the comedy world knew her name. You were really good up there, Maya said. I mean it. Thank you. The woman looked like she might cry. I'm so nervous every time. I don't know if I can keep doing this. The fear doesn't really go away, Maya said honestly. But you learn to work with it, to use it. And eventually you realize the fear means you care, that what you're doing matters to you. That's not a bad thing. They talked for a few more minutes before the woman's friends called her over. Maya watched her go, hoping she would keep at it, hoping she would find her own version of success and happiness. Nathan wrapped his arm around Maya's waist. Ready to go home? Ready. They walked out into the Los Angeles night, older and wiser than the 2 people who had met in that same club a decade earlier. The city sparkled around them, full of stories and dreams and people taking chances. In the car, Nathan reached over and took Maya's hand, the way he had done 1,000 times before. Maya looked at him, at the man who had laughed when he had forgotten how, who had seen her potential before she had seen it herself, who had built a life with her that was messy and beautiful and real. "I love you," she said. "I love you too." They drove home to their children and their life, to the future they were still building one day at a time. Maya thought about that first night, about the joke that had died on stage and the man who had told her she was funny anyway. She thought about all the things that had to go right and wrong to lead her to this moment, to this life, to this love. And she thought about how the best things, the truly miraculous things, always started with someone being brave enough to step into the spotlight and try. To risk failure and rejection in pursuit of something that mattered. To show up, even when it was terrifying, and see what happened. She had stepped on stage that first night hoping only to make people laugh. She had never imagined she would find everything else along the way. But that was the thing about taking chances, about being brave. You never knew what was waiting for you in the darkness beyond the spotlight, ready to change your life in ways you could not begin to predict. Maya had found love and laughter and a life beyond her wildest dreams. And it had all started with a failed joke, a cheap beer, and a millionaire who had forgotten how to laugh until she reminded him. The end.